Welcome to All the Gear But No Idea, the South Australian fishing podcast hosted by Rhodey and Diz. The boys will share their tall tales of the one that got away, as well as some regular segments they know all you fishing tragics will enjoy.
G'day guys and welcome to All the Gear But No Idea, episode 112, 112. Rhodey, how are you, mate?
Dizzy, I'm always good. It's been a little bit longer than anticipated between podcasting, which just makes us more eager to get into it.
It does. We are chomping at the bit. We've got Faith Coleman today. We're basically saying that Faith is the Coorong guru.
She is the queen of the Coorong, Diz. She is a science whiz.
Yes, so done a bit of research, knows the science. We are very keen to have a chat with Faith in today's episode later on. Without further ado, though, Rhodey, let's get into oranges and lemons. What is your orange?
Diz, this has actually been sitting on the we run a bit of a document with all our plans for what we're going to talk about, Diz, a bit of a run sheet, and this has been sitting here for a little while because as we said, we got a bit delayed. But the long weekend has been and gone since the last time we recorded, Diz.
Yes.
And we did get into some fishing, and that was pretty good.
Yeah, it was a nice weekend. The weather was really good to us, actually. So, I mean, although it was definitely cold, but there were periods of time where the sun came out and it was nice sitting in the sun with a bit of wind protection. So,
and we'd say it was probably 40% fishing, 60% family holiday.
Yeah, I'd say so.
30-70, something like that. It certainly wasn't a fishing trip, but we did get out and get some fish in our windows of free time.
Yeah, we did. It was good fun. Good fun had by all, that's for sure. Rhodey, my orange is going to be moving back to get a bit closer towards you. So for the last 12 months or so, we've been good half an hour away probably in the traffic. And it's just, it's added in an hour to every time we've done the podcast record.
Yeah, so Diz, I don't want to, give away your personal details. We've been living down at the beach. I keep waiting for you to put up a little fishing report saying I nipped down to Glenelg Jetty and got some squid after work.
Yeah, no.
You haven't really made the most of 12 months at the beach, have you?
No, I haven't. Did flick a few lures around in the pat for some brim, but no joy.
Yeah, so you are living closer, and it made it much easier for the podcast tonight. I just flicked your text saying we're ready, we're good.
Yeah,
2 minutes later, you were here.
I know, it was perfect. So that's a definite orange. I'm going to roll straight into my lemon, mate. I tell you what, the move hasn't been fun.
Has anyone ever had fun moving house?
Oh, the boxes. Do you know what I hate so much about, like what I've decided I hate the most about moving is I do like to have a particular spot for things. And when you move, it just gets thrown into chaos. Like, where did you put your keys? Oh, I don't know. You trudge it through there. Or where did you put this? Or where did you put the tape measure or whatever? And it's just, it gets thrown into turmoil for a while until you can organise yourself. So that's been not fun.
And some of your stuff's probably been sitting in storage for 12 months, has it?
It has, a lot of it.
Do you look at it and be like, why didn't I just throw that out? Like, that's crap, I don't need that?
Yeah. No, we opened a box that had a PS2 in it, which somehow Millie convinced me to keep. And I opened the box and I said, this needs to go in the bin. We are not PS2 gamers.
Do you know what I would like, though? I regret selling my Nintendo.
64?
Yes.
Me too.
I would love to sit down a Mario Kart.
Yeah, I'm happy for like a real... PS2 feels awkwardly in the middle. I think
if you had Tony Hawk Pro Skater, I'd be in.
Yeah, that's true. That was a great game. Anyway, this is a fishing podcast, not a gaming podcast. Rhodey, what's your lemon?
Dizzy, my lemon is just football. I sat through Port Adelaide on Saturday and it was
Did you leave early?
Yeah, we did leave early. We had Lil. She had well and truly had enough.
Fair enough.
2.5-year-olds are not that good at the footy.
No.
She did actually do pretty well, but
I'm surprised she got through like a quarter.
We didn't take that much convincing. She got through a lot of food though.
Well done.
But my God, they were bad.
Yeah.
It's it looks very much like season done to me, it is.
Yeah. I can't disagree with that, mate. I can't disagree. All right, Rhodey. Well, nice little oranges and lemons. That probably dragged it a bit longer than our usual oranges and lemons, but there was a couple of good ones in there. Let's give the listeners a bit of an update on merch, Rhodey. So what I can tell you specifically about the move is I've uncovered a bit of merch.
Oh, you found some more?
Found some more hats. Might have even been some stubby holders.
Oh, here we go. We've been out of them.
Which we have been out of. No beanies. They've always stayed with you. But good opportunity for anybody who's been thinking and sort of walking past people with all the gear merch thinking, geez, I wish I could look as good as that person.
And Dizzy, it's been cold.
Oh,
absolutely no doubt about that. So $25 for a beanie. Team Hardcore Fishing picked up some, and Rick and the boys have been up at the Riverland smashing Murray cod, and they sent us through some great photos in their beanies. So shout out to them, and it clearly brought them luck on the fishing front. Mind you, they're good fishermen, so they don't need any luck, but guaranteed to catch more fish too, Diz.
Yes. Yeah. There is an asterisk beside that guarantee though, I think, but it certainly gives you better odds.
Yeah, it'll help. I guarantee it.
Because one thing is, if you're uncomfortable and it's cold, you're going to go home early, aren't you?
You are, Diz. You certainly are. You're right. We've got caps. We've got a couple of T-shirts, I think.
Yeah. There's some T-shirts going around. There's a bit of a sort of licorice all sorts. I will come back to you next episode whether there's some stubbies because I reckon they will get snapped up pretty quickly. Rody, let's move on, mate. Let's get into the news.
Rody and Diz have been searching far and wide to bring you the latest news across all fishing in the state, and will give you the rundown on what you need to know.
I'm not going to lie, Rody, with the move coming up, I felt like I was gaining a bit of momentum with this run sheet. I was putting in some hard yards. I was digging up a few good stories. I've been useless this episode, so I'll let you kick us off. But what I do know is that RecFish SA have been working on some stuff in the background, let's just say. There's a few stories in today's episode that RecFish have been breaking across their socials. Rody, kick us off.
So, Dizzy, this is one that has got some social media chat, it's safe to say. So, PIRSA is putting together an app, Diz. So, this is, they've asked RecFish to provide 3 representatives to help develop this app. And it's a recreational fishing app, and it will have a variety of functions, one of which is a planned, potentially mandatory reporting ability. So, Dizzy, this is talking about mandatory reporting's been talked about a lot, and this is the first sort of official steps that we know that it's in the pipeline, Diz. So this has had a lot of negative press. People don't want to have to log what they're catching. But look, it's still early days, and we would encourage everyone to think about, anyone who's sort of really keen on it, to think about putting their hand up to become one of these 3 representatives to represent Rec Fishing on the development of this app. RecFish has a Survey Monkey which closes Wednesday the 26th of June if you would like to put your hand up for the steering committee and be a part of the app's development.
Good call, Ruddy. Love that, mate. Well done.
So whether or not you're sort of for or against the mandatory reporting, at least if you put your hand up, you'll get some say in the rules and regulations and how it all works.
Yeah, and look, if any of our experience tells us anything, there's going to be some keyboard warriors after this one.
Oh, mate, they're already out.
Survey monkeys. Oh. And even though this is actually specifically designed to ask you for your opinion, somehow it's going to be touted as somebody forcing their opinion on you.
It certainly will, Diz. And I do get that people, I do understand why people don't want mandatory reporting. I do get it's something else to do. But it's probably not the most strenuous task in the world, jumping on the app as you get your boat out the boat ramp and say, I call it forwarding.
Yeah.
They're not asking you to give you GPS marks. They're not asking you to go and weigh them in or do anything ridiculous. I don't know if it's going to be that strenuous, and I know pros and charters already have to log everything they catch.
Yep.
So most, a lot of the arguments when this all comes up are to do with, the pros don't have to do that and these don't. Everyone else is doing it.
Yeah. So does it have to be verified though? Because I don't know how many times you've been out fishing, you've caught like 2, but you've said, we got 20.
I don't lie like you.
I said you. Righto, Rody. Encourage people to get online there, have your say, get involved in it. This is part of our future. RecFish SA are pushing for free boat ramp use, Rody. They've been doing this for a little while. They've had some traction with some local councils. This one's going to Tom Koutsantonis, who is, of course, the Minister for Department of Infrastructure and Transport. So he will be a mover and shaker in this space for sure.
So this is a formal request as it is, whereas up until now it's just been talk. Is that the story?
I think so, yeah. Yep. So I think basically, mostly the infrastructure maintenance does occur through recreational sector funding. This is because all commercial and aquaculture vessels are registered under AMSA and not South Australia. The maintenance levy is only paid by SA registrations.
So the story is basically that RecFish is not happy that RecFishos are paying for the commercial fishos to have their boat ramps upkept. Is that right?
Well, it seems to be the case because there are obviously boat ramps that are heavily used by commercial vessels, and then there's other boat ramps which might be dominated by recos. And the one example they've given on one of their posts is the Coffin Bay boat ramp. Now, we've been there before, and you know how many of the oyster boats get put in the water there day in, day out constantly. So this is basically just done a bit of analysis on that and basically putting it forward to say, well, we think there should be some funding so that South Australians don't have to pay for every single time they need to use the ramp.
There's probably some merit in that in there.
Happens in some other jurisdictions. I can tell you that for nothing.
Fair enough, Diz. All right, what's next?
Righto, Brody. The RecFish forums, they've been underway. I think one is actually tonight.
No, they've both been, I think.
Both been?
So it was Port Lincoln and Whyalla.
Yes.
I think it was Thursday and Friday, or Wednesday and Thursday.
Okay, nice.
Thursday and Friday, I think it was.
We are going to be across the news of those. We may even have a guest coming on after them, Brody. We'll keep the listeners close to that one, but no doubt a fantastic turnout at those forums because it was, of course, an opportunity for people to have their say and discuss some really heavily debated topics and topics that are on top of a lot of people's agenda. We look forward to hearing a bit more about that, but it was good that they were out in the regions gathering a lot of information, no doubt, in those parts. So we look forward to hearing a bit more about that shortly.
So it was Thursday and Friday, Diz. I've just got some confirmation here. And there's one still to go. I believe Renmark is on the 19th of July.
Very good. And that'll round them all out.
I believe that's the last one they've got to go.
Yeah, nice. All right, very good, mate. Now let's talk about this news that broke on the ABC, the Coorong disappearing.
I think, Diz, we should just sort of fleetingly mention these next couple because we are getting Faith Coleman on, who is the guru in all things the Coorong. Mm-hmm. So the first one is the Coorong is disappearing. This was an ABC News article that we will touch on with Faith. And the other one was we have talked about an initial fish dying event in the Coorong. There's been another one.
Yeah.
That one's got a lot of traction in the wider media, Diz. I've seen it on ABC News. I think 7 or 9, one of them ran something.
Yeah.
And I know Faith Coleman has been quoted a lot in the media. So we've actually done well to get her, Diz.
Yes, we have.
In amongst all her other media commitments. She's become a bit of the face for this, Diz.
Faith must be very busy doing interviews here, there and everywhere. We're glad to have her on. We can't wait to have a chat with her. Rhodey, what else is happening, mate? Sharks.
Yeah, we've seen some weird and wacky things going on in the world of sharks, Diz. I'm going to start with this one from the American River boat ramp. I don't know if you've seen this one, Diz. It was a bloke releasing looked like a bronze whaler, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
And he got in amongst it, to say the absolute least.
Really?
So it was the American River, the boat ramp, and he walks it like right out. And he disappears. He sticks his head under. He goes in, and I don't know. I was looking at it. I was like, "What is going on here? Where's this fella going to end up?" He he started off guiding it down sort of the boat ramp, and once he got a bit deeper, I was a bit like, "Is this like going to get eaten here for a minute?"
A bit of a ballsy move, you reckon?
Oh, mate, he's a bit more brave than I am.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
So that was good to see, Diz, to say the least, and that's just getting a bit of traction now. The other one that was interesting, Diz, is this was an interstate one, I think. I'm just getting this up. Sorry, my internet's battling a little bit. This was a tiger shark, Diz, and marine biologist by the name of Nicholas Lubitz was left stunned when he saw the predator regurgitate an entire echidna off the Queensland coast during a marine research project.
Oh, wow. You serious?
It's a weird bit of video, Diz. It's a weird bit of work there.
Jeez, that is strange.
How does that happen?
I don't know. I'm not going to cast assumptions.
So what do we think? It was sort of a estuary dwelling echidna.
Could be.
Anyway, it's interesting. So he said here that
Or lost.
it's likely that the shark nabbed the echidna as it swam in the shallows off the island or even between two islands, which the creatures are known to do. I wouldn't have known that echidnas swim.
No, me neither.
So it was found off Orpheus Island in North Queensland.
They look like pretty heavy beasts. I would have thought they'd just sink.
Oh, what about those spines? That'd take a bit of chewing if you're a shark.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that wouldn't have been comfortable. Would have been like bloody, I don't know, eating something real sharp. Would have been sore. Okay, Rhodey.
Do you think the shark need a toothpick?
Definitely. Well, they got more than one toothpick in that.
Surely something got caught in its teeth.
Would have thought so. All right, Rhodey, nice little news segment for you. There's nothing else in that, I don't reckon. We've covered it all off.
No, we've got the Coorong stuff to go in a bit more detail coming up, Diz.
Yes, we do. We're going to cover them in some more detail when we get Faith on the line. Rhodey, before we do that, mate, we've got to get through, of course, our very loved segment of the tackle item of the week.
Now it's time for Rhodey and Diz to really show you what it means to have all the gear with a lot of idea as they review a tackle item of the week.
Rhodey, this week we've got one of Shimano's fantastic rods, and it is, of course, the Zodius. They have a range of rods, and it was a few years back, I think it might have been 2020, the Zodius had a significant upgrade, and now it's got some of Shimano's latest and greatest technology. Probably most visually striking aspects of their rod is, of course, the carbon butt on the rod. It's very short, very lightweight, and very responsive to the nibbles of a lot of different creatures in the deep blue. Rhodey?
Dizzy, yes, I took this over to the York Peninsula. I didn't let you take it out. I kept it in my hot little hands. The 264L is the model we've gone for. It's a 6'4" rod made for 3 to 6 pound line. It's incredibly light, Diz, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, mate. It's unbelievably light, and they've got 12 models in the range, and that really does allow you to pick the range that's going to suit your type of fishing most. As you said, the one that we've gone for is perfect for some of the inshore stuff we do with whiting, squid, some of the lighter stuff, and really good to be able to flick a few soft plastics around the place as well. They've, of course, got all of Shimano's latest and greatest. Like I said, their Fuji guides are brilliant. They stand the test of time. Looks great. They last forever. Finished in this lovely black and red colour scheme on them. They look great, don't they?
Yeah, we've got it matched up with the Shimano van for Diz, and it matches beautifully, the red and black and the red and black.
It does. It looks good.
That's how I decided which reel we'd put on it, Diz. I went for the colour.
Yeah, well played.
But it's a really good, solid rod, as all Shimano products are. I think they've also got some bait casters, Diz, and I'd love to get my hands on one of them, because if you were, I know we don't do as much freshwater fishing as what we once did, but if you were out there casting lures with a beautiful, nice, light rod like this, you could do it all day.
Of course you could, mate. Absolutely. And you'd be able to pick up probably any of the Zodius range from your local tackle store that has the Shimano gear, which most, if not all, will, because of how respected the name is in the sector. But get down there, treat yourself. They are they're a pricier rod. They're not your entry level. They're not your budget rod. But you know, sometimes it's a case of what you pay for what you get.
Certainly is, Diz, and we certainly caught more fish than you and your old man. So that would say that it works.
Very good, Rhodey. All right, let's get through those Coorong news stories and get Faith on the line.
Now it's time to get our guest on the line. We'll ask them the all-important 5 questions, then chat all things fishing in SA.
All right, Dizzy, we are very lucky to be joined today by our guest in episode 112, Faith Coleman. She's an estuarine ecologist. She is the guru of all things the Coorong. Faith, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, and it's great to be here.
Thank you, Faith. We wanted to start by giving you a chance to talk us through your career and a bit of a snapshot of who you are and how you've got to where you are today.
That one's a long and complicated one, but I originally come from northern West Australia, and I come from multiple families who work in coastal zones. And so I was brought up in outback Australia, playing in swamps and estuaries and eating whatever I could find. And so it was a natural career progression to then do that for a job. And so that's what I do, is I work for anyone who'll hire me, pretty much, fixing estuaries around the world.
Beautiful, Faith. And obviously you're living in South Australia now, and the Coorong is the obvious one to take a keen interest in. Is that right?
It is. I'm down at Tintinara, so just not far from the southern lagoon of the Coorong.
Beautiful. And you've lived there and followed the Coorong for a long time, is that right?
Well, yes, sort of. I was brought up on Storm Boy. You know what it's like. We all were, weren't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I was following the Coorong long before I was following the Coorong.
Very good. So, Faith, I think what we might do now is, most recently we did talk in today's episode a lot about how much media traction some of the recent stories about the Coorong has had, but most notably, I suppose, we do cover some of the fish kills. Can you talk us through the most recent? Maybe give us an indication of roughly how many fish and why these sorts of things happen.
All right. Well, that one was quite a tragedy. The most recent kill, we believe, was about the 30th of May, but there was one back on early April, and back in spring we actually had problems with flounder with thyroid issues. And so there's been a long record this year of issues with fish in the South Lagoon. This kill in May was somewhere between 200,000 and 500,000 fish at a conservative estimate. Could be a lot more than that. That's really quite distressing, as of course it's more than we actually take out of the lakes and Coorong, the whole estuary, through fishing. And so to lose that amount in one single kill, just in 1 week in the South Lagoon was hugely distressing for everyone involved and watching it on the ground. And what we believe happened is the water level was a bit lower this year than normal. And that's fine over summer when there's not a lot of fish in there and there's not a lot of wind from the west. But this year it was let stay low over the start of winter, and the westerlies picked up all of that MBO, that black ooze, and it's got into the fish's gills and also deoxidised the water. And we saw all of those shallow fish die first, the mullet, and then it was followed by those deeper water fish like the mulloway, which got damaged gills. And what was really distressing is they took almost a week to die.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that would have been horrible to be experiencing on the ground. When did you sort of first become aware of it? I know you mentioned May. When was the alarm sounded, I suppose?
Well, the commercial fishermen are really the only people who visit the South Lagoon at that time of year, especially since we're out of, Commonwealth government funding for various programs in the Coorong, so there's not a lot of researchers down there at the moment. You can always tell, can't you?
Yeah.
Anyway, so moving away from that small blip, the only people down there are mainly the commercial fishermen. And so they'd taken some footage, and I believe they'd spoken to some various government authorities, but I didn't check that. And about 2 days after they first saw the dead fish, they rang me up and said, "Faith, we've got a problem." And I said, "It's all right, I'm putting my shoes on," as you do. Because you can't have something like that happen without responding to it. And so on the Sunday, I believe it was the 2nd of June, I arrived there about 2 days after the start of the kill. It was still going on. There was still fish dying. But the dissolved oxygen event had passed. And so I walked down, and it was really obvious what was wrong. It was also really obvious just how large it was. The fishermen hadn't told me where to go. It was just there,
Oh, wow. And do you have any idea of the percentage of the total biomass in the Coorong or anything like that?
That's really hard to estimate, especially since fish swim in and out of the Coorong, and there's still quite a lot of live fish down in the South Lagoon at the moment. But it does give you some indication, doesn't it, of just how many fish must be in that area.
Yeah, it certainly does. And I know you mentioned just before, Faith, about how and we all know that the Coorong's very well regulated with the water and what water ends up where. Is this something that could have been avoided, do you think?
I believe so. I believe, from what I've heard since, that the South Australian government had made a choice to not follow their standard barrage operating procedures. And that choice was made on a decision around blue-green algae control in Lake Alexandrina, and it tells you how complicated this system is. We have a tropical cyanobacteria blooming in Lake Alexandrina, which is toxic and an issue, and it shouldn't be there. It's a species of cyanobacteria that has caused some of the biggest blue-green algae hospitalisations in the world. So it's not something we want there, and so they've been taking measures to suppress that. Those measures haven't been successful. I have questions about how valid the methods they're using are, but the cost of doing that was to sacrifice water into the South Lagoon.
Yeah, wow. Well, I mean, Rhodey and I are certainly speaking out of our depths here, and it'd be stupid for us to comment given that our podcast name is actually All the Gear But No Idea. But it's interesting, Faith, that what's striking in chatting to you at the moment is, and one thing I would maybe get your comments on is, like, given the number of recent fish kills, what's your opinion on the health of the Coorong overall? Clearly, you know, there could be some different thought given to how to manage the Coorong, but the health as you currently see it, is it in a really bad state, or is this recoverable? What's your thoughts on that?
It's both. It is in a tragedy of the state. The South Lagoon is the largest lagoon, and it's dominated by bacteria now. We're getting, 1.2 to 1.8 million cells of cyanobacteria in some of our summer counts in there, which is just phenomenal. We close rivers with counts of over 80,000, and we're getting millions in the South Lagoon. Can you imagine? I can't even, I count it, but I still struggle to imagine in my head what that would look like, that number of cells in a cubic centimetre, and so I see them underneath a microscope, but visualising them in your head, that number is really hard. So what's happened is the South Lagoon has been declining for a long time. So for the commercial fishers and a few other stakeholders, they got together about 5 years ago, and they each put in a few thousand each into a kitty, and we went to Federation University with that kitty and funded a PhD scholarship, which I was lucky enough to get. I think that might have been the plan in the first place for the fishermen. And because they'd originally come to me asking me if I could put the historic records together for the system. And so we put together all of these historic records. And what you can see in the South Lagoon is prior to 1978, and definitely prior to the 50s, the South Lagoon was crystal clear down all the way, mostly to the bottom, so that the fishermen could see their nets all the way down to the bottom, and it was full of these giant plants that were like 2.4 metres tall, and it was full of fish. So in the 1800s, they talk about it being the best black brim fishery in Australia. Wow. And it's really hard now to imagine that. But that's, of course, why you have all those fishing shacks along the shore. They used to, back in the era of horse and dray, it was so much fish there that it was worth driving that far on rocky dirt tracks. And that is phenomenal, how they got them back, how they sailed down there. The challenges physically around doing that tells you just how good a fishery it was. And, of course, we slowly lost those. And in 1978, the records show that the South Lagoon went red, and then it went yellow, and then it never turned back. And what we know that was a plankton bloom. And the system's got itself sort of locked into a bit of a cycle. And so those plankton blooms make the water cloudy, and then the plants can't grow, And so they grow nice and shallow, and then the birds eat all the plants.
Yeah.
And round and round and round and round we go. And so we get more plankton, and it becomes more cloudy. And so it's in this self-reinforcing cycle, which is going to take a lot of work to break out. That being said, this flood, we found 3 species of those big plants that we haven't seen since the 70s.
Yeah, wow.
And one of those species is a stonewort, and I've been doing some work in Siberia, and we know that plant comes back when it's more than 800 years old, those spores. So there is a huge amount of hope that we can restore this place. These plants and algae are highly adaptable, highly resilient. We just need to get the conditions right. And part of that is managing it really stably, more stably than it might have naturally occurred, so that we can just give these plants a chance to establish, find a way of getting rid of that plankton bloom so that we get clear water just for a month or 2 or 3 and see what grows. And I suspect that the Coorong is an incredibly resilient beast, and it will come back if we give it a chance. Because, the last thing I ever want to do, again, is be down there hauling out dead bream, which is what we've been doing.
So, Faith, we're certainly not experts, but what we see is people fishing, and we hear about people fishing, and we've heard, lots of people have said the last sort of 6 months have been really good on the mulloway fishing in particular. That's probably more the North Lagoon, I understand, is my understanding. Can you, is that the part of the Coorong that's healthier and going better from a sort of biodiversity and biomass sort of perspective?
Usually, yes, the North Lagoon is healthier. Immediately after the flood, though, we were catching just as much mulloway in the South Lagoon as we were in the North.
Yeah.
But yeah, usually because the North Lagoon gets better flushing now, you get more mulloway in the northern end.
Interesting, very interesting, Faith. Sounds like you've I know we did ask you that you're not really a fisher person yourself, but I think if you were going to get into it, I'd probably go where you tell me anyway.
Yeah. You could just
we actually found all of those rare algae by following birds, actually. And so the wonderful thing is, even though I don't fish and I'm not even a birdo, you can actually I spend an awful lot of time watching both because they tell us an awful lot about the health of the system.
Well, it's certainly all interrelated, as I'm sure you know. Now, Faith, the other article that we've read recently was talking about a man named Patrick Hesp, who's a Flinders University professor, who first came to the Coorong in 1970s. And when he returned, he discovered that the beach and the dunes were shrinking quite rapidly. And he's gone on to do some more work with satellite images and all that sort of stuff. Can you tell us a little bit about that as well?
Yeah, Patrick and Marcio have been doing amazing work down there. They've been tracking dune movement. And what they're finding is that with sea level rise, as we're all well aware, plus weeds, plus off-road vehicles, but mainly they're accrediting it at the moment to climate change and sea level rise, the dunes down the southern end of the Coorong are moving landward. And they're moving landward. It varies at different points, and that's all mapped. Anywhere between 30 centimetres and 10 metres a year.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's quite a lot when you think about it.
Yeah, it's huge.
It is.
And it's certainly, that relates a lot to the people that fish down that way as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, it does make it mobile dunes makes it hard to get down onto the beaches. And that's always something that I notice is that stable coasts are easier for all of us as far as access goes. Which comes down to, the keep on the tracks conversation always. But also we're finding, of course, that those dunes are blowing into the Coorong and they narrow the Coorong down as well. And that's not a significant issue yet. It might be a significant issue in the future. And, of course, the challenge is with anything related to climate change, you have, 30 centimetres today and then 10 metres in, 10 or 20 years' time, and then things start going faster and faster and faster. And that's the other problem, is that we don't know how fast what Patrick's finding will become over time.
Very, very interesting. All right, Faith, well, thank you very much for your insights there. Now, I'm really keen to get your thoughts. This is your chance to give us your opinion on what you think needs to be done to help restore the health of the Coorong so that it is there for generations to come for people to continue to enjoy like they have done for such a long time?
I suspect we need to be really, really vocal about understanding the science as a community. The people who care about the community, the fishermen, both recreational and commercial, have a lot to say, and I think we often get cut out of the conversation, and I think it's really important that we all work together to make sure that the thing that we care about gets looked after.
Beautiful, Faith. Well, as we say, we're no experts, but if anyone comes asking us, we'll just send them your direction. Is that fair?
Thank you.
Sounds like you should be in charge.
Maybe not today.
Fantastic, Faith. Well, thank you very much for your insights. And look, thank you as well for your work as two people who do enjoy getting down to the Coorong, specifically for the recreational fishing side of thing. I think that we can all thank you for the work that you do. We certainly hope to see the Coorong's health improve over the years, and I'm sure that'll be led by some of the science that you've given us some insights to today, and thank you very much for sharing.
You're welcome, and thank you for your work.
Thanks, Faith. Thanks for coming on.
See you later. Bye.
Geez, that was good to pick the brains of the Coorong guru, as we called her.
Dizzy, she knows a thing or two about that patch of water, doesn't she?
Absolutely, mate. It was great to have her on. Some really interesting information there. Like you said earlier in today's episode, mate, it's getting some mainstream media traction, which is no doubt going to draw some attention to the issue, and let's see where things go from here.
And hopefully the powers that be listen to people like Faith who know what they're talking about.
Good call. Love that, Rhodey. All right, let's get in the fishing report.
Rhodey and Diz have been out on the water to bring you the news about where they're biting. Now it's time for the fishing report.
Righto, Rhodey, I'm here in the barrels. Not necessarily everywhere, but people are still getting them.
They're certainly getting them in the southeast.
Yep.
Portland across the border and Port Mac.
Yep.
They're certainly getting them Marion Bay, Althorpes.
Yep.
And they're certainly getting them off Port Lincoln.
Wow.
And I don't know about your geography, but those areas are fairly well spread apart.
Yep.
So you would have to say that they're widely across the state. There's plenty of big fish being caught, Diz.
There certainly is. Let's go back to Shane's piece of information where his piece of wisdom, I should say, he felt like they've been there for a very long time.
Yeah.
We just haven't been fishing for them.
Yeah. And I agree.
So I can't, that Shane knows a lot. And I tend to agree.
I think what's next is Victor Harbour. Myself, I reckon someone will launch off Victor Harbour, end up down the bottom of sort of south of KI somewhere,
Yeah.
and we'll hook another one.
Wow.
It's only a matter of time. I'm sure of it. I don't think it'll be me that catches it,
Wow. No, I don't think it will be either.
but I reckon they will. But yeah, those three areas are all fishing pretty well. If I was going to go and get one, I'd probably still head to Port Mac, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I reckon most reliable, most fish coming from down there. Certainly not everyone is going out there and nailing them every time they go out.
No.
But you're a chance.
Yeah, good call. Rhodey, Samson fish.
Yeah, Diz. Ned McHenry is obviously a former guest of the show. He teamed up with Red Habgood, another former guest of the show, who's filming a TV show. Did you see that?
Yes.
So that's interesting.
Very
I'm looking
interesting.
forward to seeing that one later on in the year. And they went out off Marion Bay. They didn't get any barrels, which they were also going for, but did catch some nice Samson fish, Diz.
Yeah, there was some healthy looking models there that they got to the surface. So
Jigging, I think, and live bait maybe.
yeah, I think so. There have been in some of the tackle shop reports, people have been saying that Samson fish have been good catches across some of those reefy areas out towards Wedge, Marion Bay, that type of location.
And did you see Southern Fishing Charters also put up a post, Diz? They're starting charters up again after a bit of a break, I believe, and they smashed them too.
Yeah,
So
very interesting.
don't know where they go from there. We'd have to put in some work and find out, because I'd love to get some Sambos off there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Love to. We'll have to probably just book with Jared.
Yeah, Jared.
Get onto him and we'll get stuck into him. All right, Rhodey, the winter whiting, they're starting to fire. I've been seeing some good Metro reports. Yorks, as you said, long weekend. We got a good haul of whiting.
Should we do a bit of a summary of our Yorks weekend is? How many did you guys catch? We sort of fished in opposition almost, didn't we?
We did. We did fish.
You were on your old man's boat. I had our boat.
Yeah, and Jack was out on his boat.
Yeah. So it was 3 boats really, and I think we took the chockies, our boat.
No, Jack outfished you for sure, mate.
No. Jack was on our boat. It was Ben on the other boat. We would have got 48, I think we said, for the weekend.
Oh, yeah, what? Including their catch too?
Over a couple of days.
No.
Yeah, no, we did. 48. Mark counted them.
He can't count, I don't think, can he?
No, well, yeah, that's up for debate too. But 47 or 48. So anyway, we didn't smash them, Diz. We worked pretty hard for them.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we didn't do too well. We got like a dozen or so.
Yeah. You got more squid than us, though. I'll give you that.
Yeah, we did. We got some squid. We were going to go to a few spots, and of course, around those long weekends, there's lots of boats in the water, so we decided to stay away from them. You didn't, so that resulted in something. But anyway, the squid were out and about. We got a good haul, grilled them over the charcoal, mate.
Actually,
delish.
The one thing I will give you, must have been the Sunday of the long weekend. We were out there fishing, me, Lucy, and Dad. We had cockles as bait. We were not catching fish. You rang and said, we're on our way out. I said, mate, have you got any squid tentacles? You said, yep, I'll come drop them off. You dropped them off. 10 minutes later, the fish were on.
Yeah, I know, and we were in the wrong spot.
I know. So your squid tentacles did the goods for us. So that was one thing you did do well, is catch the bait.
So technically, those fish count towards our tally, I think.
Anyway, Diz, the other thing that was funny about the whiting was we would go to the same spot, and one day there would be 50,000 baby snapper. The next day there would be none and just whiting.
Yeah.
So they're clearly just schooling through the area, moving back and forth. Whiting will come in. Schools of baby snapper will come in. We did catch plenty of other sort of bycatch, red mullet, things like that. Yeah.
Very good weekend all in all. We had Ned out on the boat a couple of times. I know you had Lil out on the boat. You guys did a booze cruise. So I think you're right. It was a bit of a family-friendly, enjoyable long weekend.
Yeah, it was. Lil was very impressed with Mum's ability to catch pufferfish.
Yeah, right.
We just went and sat in the bay, and Robsy pulled in 3 pufferfish, and Lil spent the rest of the weekend like blowing up her cheeks like a pufferfish. Thought she was real funny.
Oh, that's good. Very good. All right, just to round out the fishing report before we wrap up today's episode, mate, the cod, as you mentioned earlier, Team Hardcore, they've been smashing them up the river.
Yeah, it is. The cod are still firing. I know a couple of months ago they were going really well, but there's still been plenty of photos hitting the social media about cod, yellow belly, or callop as we call them over in this state, and the freshwater natives are going really well, Diz.
Yeah, so what, one more week before closure? Is that right? July 1?
Yeah, I'd have to check that, but it sounds about right. It's certainly be coming up.
Yeah, I think it's something like that, but maybe make sure you do double check all closures before you get out on the water. But I think it's coming up very soon. So
catch and release fishing for Murray cod is permitted from the 1st of January to the 31st of July. So you've actually got another month.
One more month. Very good. All right, Rody, love that, mate. So one more month to get out there and chase your freshwater species. Make the most of the weather when the sun's shining. Great episode today, mate. Socials, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, anywhere you want to download a podcast, you can find us.
And Diz, a reminder, we do still have we have brought back our photo competition each month. We're giving away a backpack and some gear. Thank you to Shimano.
Yes.
So send in your photos to that and we will announce a winner probably in the next podcast for this month.
Good call.
And the other thing is we did have a couple of listener questions that we put up a little while ago. We haven't had any of the last couple episodes, but we would love you to hit us up with a question and we will do our best to find you an answer. We'll hit up some of our contacts because generally we don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I certainly don't anyway.
So hit us up with your question and we'll find out the answer for you guys.
Love it. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in today. We'll speak to you. We will make sure it's not such a long gap next time, Rody.
Yeah, can you not move house again? It's made you very hard to sort of track down.
All right, we'll speak to you soon, guys.
Rody and Diz hope you enjoyed today's episode of All the Gear But No Idea. Keep up to date by liking and sharing us on Facebook and Instagram. And you can subscribe on all the major podcast platforms. Until next time, good luck fishing.